You are listening to Party Nerds Weekly.
Party nerds in the house. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, buddy.
What's up, everybody? This is Cage Nerd with a working internet. Thank God this week.
Oh, we are so
week,
blessed, man.
It was bad. Yeah, I deserved that all day last week. So listen, we're gonna get right to it because we want to talk about this Flash movie. Behind the controls, we have Jorge, the evil producer. Everybody give him a nice boo, boo,
boo. Darnell,
Boo,
you better be promoting our Street Fighter matches.
Oh yeah, and by the way, if anybody watching us and you guys think you're good at Street Fighter 6, you're probably definitely better than Jorge. I will tell you that. But you're definitely not going to get with me or Ed. All right, guys. So today we have in between myself and Jorge, Catwoman, aka the Yummy Geek. What's up, Cindy? How are you?
Good. Excited to talk about this film.
Did you have another word for it? This
I love
abomination
film. That's what I just saw.
I can't wait for us to talk about this thing that
cinema.
I hate.
Something that was put on a 35mm roll.
Yeah. And below Cindy, we have, or actually, you know what? Below me, we have the other bearded one, because Bravo's just busy being a father. We have Ed. What's up, Ed? How are you, man?
What's up, guys? It's your boy Ed, representing Gamerdelphia in the house. What is going on? I need to get my Street Fighter skills up. I am not in the ranks that Darnell is at right now, but I'm feeling myself a little more with my Ryu play right now. But I will say this: if you run into a Zangief online, watch out. I hate playing against a Zangief.
Yo, why don't you just spam him with fireballs?
Yeah, you got to keep that at
I've tried that. Trust me. I've tried.
And we have Ed's awesome partner in crime, the lovely Boma-haired streamer. Give it up for Patricia. What's up, Patty?
Hey, what's up? I can't wait to defend this movie because I guess I'm the only person in the universe that actually fucking liked it. So I'm ready to go.
I think Catwoman over here. Over here.
Yeah.
It was entertaining. Yes, it was. Oh. I have some points, but it was still entertaining. It was entertaining.
Awesome.
And then finally, we have now this week. He is one of a kind. He's not sharing the spotlight for anybody. Give it up for the light-skinned wonder himself, Haas.
Light-skinned music.
What's up, Haas?
Hi.
All right, we
that gets me every time.
No, come on. I mean, sometimes it's like Richie.
All right, so it's crazy with the Lionel Richie. So my pops at that time in the 80s looked exactly like him. So when I saw music videos with Lionel Richie, I would tell my mom that's dad because my dad was
hello.
He went on the Rick James and Tina Marie tour. So every time I seen a video of Lionel Richie, I thought it was my dad. So it was crazy. So to hear that.
So your dad had the cool fro.
I have a picture where he had the same exact cut, same mustache, everything.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What props to dad? You were raised by a star, man. Be honored. That's awesome.
Yeah. He partied with Rick James, so I'm gonna leave it at that.
Guys, let's get right into it. So we actually saw this movie. Thank you, Allied Marketing. We saw this movie weeks ago, but we're just now talking to it because we didn't want to be those spoiler people that put it out there and tell the movie. But now everyone has had time to see The Flash, which this movie's been talked about for the past 2 years in development. We're going to get the Flashpoint film. We're going to get the film that's finally going to talk about. Remember now, if you guys remember, 2 years ago, they were talking about Jeffrey Dean Morgan being Batman's father. Remember that you had all these rumors back in the day surrounding what the plot was going to be. It was none of that. So we're going to get into the specifics of it. But Ed, how did the movie do in the box office?
All right, so we are currently looking at just about 2 weekends so far in the box office. Worldwide, $210 million is what we're looking at, with only $87 million here in the U.S. Now, one of the things you asked me for is two things. Number one, here's the interesting stat. According to Box Office Mojo, where we get all our stats, it made $55 million opening weekend. Okay, sure, respectable enough, fine. The next weekend, this past weekend, only $15 million, almost a 70% drop off from
Crazy.
what it made.
Crazy.
And consider this. Look at all the other DC movies that have come out at the time. According to Box Office Mojo, using their comic book adaptation filter, Shazam Lifetime was 57 million.
Well,
And 70.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
you got the Darnell disease.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Keep talking
Am I still here?
later.
there
Am
you
I still
go.
here? Okay, there it is.
Are you
Doesn't like me
delayed?
switching tabs. But yeah, no, movies like the Batman and Black Adam surpassed, have done fairly well for themselves too. So right now, sitting at 200 million for a movie that was so anticipated, that bugs me a lot, especially considering that 70% profit drop off. I don't know if it's going to hit anywhere close to the 370 that the Batman made at all. I think we might have peaked already, which is crazy. And look,
You know what?
70%.
It was a dumpster fire. So Ed, if everything you're saying is correct, which we know it is, this is a monumental flop. So I know we're going to be getting a lot of y'all love the movie. That's fine, or you like the movie, but people don't like it. A lot of people don't like it. Is it so? Haz, let me ask you, why are people not seeing this movie?
Well, if you gotta think of what the movie was before it even hit the theaters, right? Like I'm talking about like a year ago or something like that. So we're expecting like all these different DC characters, different versions of different like maybe a different Superman. But even before they casted Keaton, they were about to go the route of having the Flashpoint Batman, like Batman's dad being Batman, right? So
Thomas Wayne, yeah.
Right.
We didn't get any of that. We didn't get any of that. So I think, like for myself, I did like the movie. I'm just very disappointed with it because it did not live up to the expectations that Warner Brothers and DC was trying to feed us. Like they came out of CinemaCon talking about this was the greatest superhero movie ever created. Like it was a lot of tall tales that they were singing, a lot of wolf tickets they were selling. And so for me, it was I had that drama of, yeah, I like the film, but it's not what it is. So I'm disappointed. So a lot of people might be as disappointed as I am, and then take that as saying that's not a good movie.
Right. Let me ask a question. Actually, let me throw a question at you real quick.
What I'm saying, I got you, Ed.
Okay.
I separate what I'm saying, and I separate like the disappointment. It is a good film. It's a good, enjoyable film to go to. So.
Right.
But
why are you lying? It was not a good film.
Everybody has
It was.
it was entertaining.
It was a good film. I laughed. It was humorous. It had action. It had drama.
Yeah.
I liked the plot. I didn't realize anybody was saying it was the best superhero movie ever. So maybe some of the hype did kind of kill some of it. I kind of went in with no expectations. I hadn't followed any of it. I know that the director changed or something midstream, and there was a couple of changes, but I loved Michael Keaton. I thought he kind of made the movie. I thought it was interesting, just the different timelines and sort of the exploration of the butterfly effect. So I know I'm in the minority, even going through PartyNerdz comments. It's definitely people seem to have a problem with it.
It's a
but
master in the comment section.
Yeah. Yo, Ed, what were you about to something? I know you had something, and I was
the
like,
CGI sucked. I will say that CGI was bad.
It was
CGI
horrendous.
was terrible.
Do you think they ran out of money for the CGI?
They had a $200 million budget, if I saw correctly. I was looking on
Scorpion
IMDb.
CGI.
How is it DC and Warner Brothers only able to muster up $200 million in budget for the entire movie, and then $80 million in marketing?
I think they spent it on the intro with the babies in the microwaves. I think.
Oh no! I don't even want to talk about that.
So,
That scene was the dumpster fire.
It was awful.
Jorge, you open Pandora's box with that, because let's get right into it from the beginning. Cindy, look, Jorge, we were all in the theater together watching this. I'm cracking up. No one's laughing. I'm not laughing because I just think it's hilarious. I'm laughing I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe that this scene is happening. Cindy, what was your mindset watching that scene where babies just falling out the window? What the hell?
I was in shock. I'm like, what the fuck are we watching? What the fuck is this? The whole time, those first 10 minutes, I was like, yo, this shit's gonna be a fucking disaster. Who did this? Who went into the studio and thought, hey, you guys, you know what's gonna be really funny? Fucking babies flying out of the window in a hospital, and oh, what a fucking dumpster fire.
And let's put one in the microwave. They're gonna love that.
Yes.
And have it stare at Ezra and like all like do, you know, it was just oh my god. If I would have been like, if I would have seen the first 10 minutes and walked out, I would have been like, this movie was a fucking like disaster. It was a piece of shit movie. I don't recommend it. But I will say it saved itself right after that. Like it got a little bit better. It got entertaining. Were there problems? Yes. So many fucking problems, starting with the CGI and just too much. I think Barry's character, I know that he's annoying. I know, but I mean, there were times where I kind of wanted to punch Ezra in the face a little bit, where he got a little bit obnoxious in a way. I'm sorry. Just a little bit. Just a little bit
Some of the scenes were too long and you're just like waiting for it to fucking end.
It was dragging. It dragged a little bit.
Well, there was two Ezra.
Cindy,
so
I don't think anybody would be upset if you punched Ezra Miller in the face.
You could punch him twice in that movie because it was two of them.
The younger
I couldn't tell who was more obnoxious. It was like one was obnoxious and then the other one was like above and beyond obnoxious. And it just, there were times where I was like, oh, it's funny. And then it's like, this isn't funny. They're trying too hard. They're trying too hard. But I will say, I agree with Patty. The Keaton kind of saved the film. There wasn't enough Keaton, just like there wasn't enough Supergirl. I feel like if they would have incorporated them a little bit more into the storyline, it might have made the movie a little bit more, I guess, likable. But they fucked up in so many ways, and I understand why people, why people hated it, why people don't like it.
All right, so this is my take on it. Like, first of all, let's talk about how horrible the CGI was. Guys, this is 2023. This is 2023. We should not have babies that look like that little, remember that whole meme with the
90s baby from the internet.
Yeah, the 90s
they
internet
all
baby.
Look like that. They were frightening. Yeah. They look like cool 3D-year-old characters.
I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen, probably not, but if you guys have seen Twilight, the last film, the baby, the fucking CGI baby that everyone was like, what the and people were like, what the fuck is this back then? To have that same type of CGI, I mean, I just had a baby and I'm looking at my baby. I'm like, that is not what a fucking baby looks like.
Right. And you know what? And Sarah just left a comment. This movie was not as good as the animated movies of DC. Do you guys agree with that? Do y'all think DC's animated movies are better?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that was going to be my point that I was going to, pass over to Haas. The DC animated movies, I feel like, take a lot more risks than any of the DCEU movies. And I felt like for a movie that was supposed to be about the Flashpoint paradox, it kind of played it safe. Like, that's the first word that came to my mind as I was thinking about it, as Haas was talking, was safe. It felt like it was secure. It felt like, okay, let's play the good hits. You'll have both Ezras on screen. Fine. You'll have the Ezra, whatever. And then you have the Michael Keaton absolutely as Batman to bring back that nostalgia that, oh my God, Michael Keaton's like one of the best Batman portrayals that ever. So that's great. You had Wonder Woman for like 5 seconds and then she just pieced out like nothing ever happened. And no other, and there were a lot of other references throughout the movie outside of that. So you have a time travel movie, but it does, outside of there being time travel consequences, you don't really see a gravitational shift in the DC universe going forward like you do in Flashpoint Paradox or any of the comic book stories about Flashpoint. Right. There wasn't anything to really sink your teeth into. So when you go into towards the future of the DCEU, what more can you really do with it right now other than like, okay, we're kind of back where we started outside of the ending, which we'll get to that. But until the ending, it's like, it's the same shit. Like I'm in the same DCEU. Nothing's really changed for the most part.
So listening to you and a few other people talk, so I just thought of a couple of things. You brought up the budget before, right? They only put like 200 million.
About 200 million.
All right. So number one, that's an issue, and I'm gonna tell you why. As ambitious as that movie was supposed to be, and as epic it was supposed to be, there had to be a lot more money going into that thing hence we have bad CGI, like Darnell is saying, right? And then number two, even without the budget, you want to mess up on the CGI and not have all that, cool. But the story itself, when you're talking about the Flash losing his mom, right? The number one corporate, the number one villain that does that is Reverse Flash, his villain. And
where was he? He wasn't in the movie.
There was no sense of urgency for him to go back in time, right? He knows his dad didn't kill him, right? Kill his mom, right? So wouldn't you want to find the person or the whatever that killed your mom, since you can go back in time? Like, they literally left that, like, that's not the most important thing about the story, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, they dropped the ball. Ed said they were playing it safe. He's perfectly correct, because they just was afraid. This is what DC does, though. They get into these movies, and because a few flopped, they get scared, so they don't want to test the waters too much. So they're trying to make a movie not bad, and it turns into a movie that people are debating about whether it's good or bad, because they're not like Marvel, and they're just going to be like, all right, this is our movie, and if it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. But this is what we're doing, and we're going all the way in. They don't go all the way in. They're still worried about what we think about the movie.
Right. I agree with you. Let me ask you a question. This is just really, I don't know. Does DC own the rights to all their characters? Because we know Marvel really doesn't with the Sony and Universal, but can a DC film put in any character they want without any legal issues? I think so, right? So then, backing up on what you just said,
they didn't sell off any characters like Marvel did. Marvel had a whole bankruptcy situation in the 90s where Fox got involved, got the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and Daredevil, and Sony got Spider-Man, and Universal got the Hulk and Namor, and it was just like, it was crazy because they were just trying to make their money back. You know what I'm saying? But DC was always linked with Warner Brothers, so they are really one. So that's what it is. So it's a different.
So the reason I asked that. The reason I asked that goes going back to what Ed said. I feel like they played it safe, and they could have added so many characters. Like when they went to Gotham, where Gotham was now a safe city. Why didn't you have it like the Penguin was the mayor and he's reformed? Writing could have taken the story so many wonderful places. They just didn't go there. They didn't even bring in if they wanted to, they probably could have even brought in Grant Gustin from the CW. There's so many avenues that they could have gone. They just didn't go there. And all we really got was a villain that we've seen before. Why didn't they give us a new villain? Why are we seeing what we've seen before? They actually interviewed the actor. He said he wasn't even crazy about re-portraying the role again. So he thought it was not a good idea. So, Cindy, what do you think about that? Do you think the movie could have used more characters, more excitement? I feel like that's what it was missing.
Considering the fact that the CGI was a piece of shit, they could have fucking added somebody's face. It would have looked like shit, but they would have still added somebody. I mean, at that point, that's what they could have done. And yes, it would have made a difference. And maybe, I get why they did it, but maybe if they would have kept Keaton the secret or an even, bigger character, that could have made a difference. I get why they didn't, though, because they would have, I don't think anybody would have actually seen the movie had it not been promoted that way because of Ezra and because of all the issues. But yes, adding more characters would have made a fucking difference. It was too much. I get that the movie is The Flash, but it was just Ezra time for an hour and a half, and then the last 30 minutes you get Keaton and you get Supergirl, and then that's it.
Wait, but remember Justice League? Everyone complained that they smushed so many characters in one movie, and it just got a bad.
That's different, though. That's in that case, they were trying to give you character development without actually developing the characters to have solo movies. Right. But here, a little cameo would have just been a cameo. Whereas in Justice League, it's like they were trying to build up these big characters because they were going to have solo movies. So that to me is a little bit different. Here, they could have had cameos. They could have at least had, I don't know, like Darnell said, somebody.
And you look at, did you guys remember when DC on CW did the Crisis on Infinite Earths? They brought in all these old actors. It was great.
It was so good. Right. No, it was so good. Like when I tell you, the TV budget has no type of shit on the movie budget, but yet they came up with a great story. They came up with some great characters, and they made it work. Like they literally made it work through like 3 or 4 episodes, or how many episodes it was. For a week, they made it work. It was good.
They made it work, and they gave you surprises.
crazy.
They gave you surprises, and not only on the CW, the DC CW, but even Marvel with the multiverse. It's like whenever it's like DC, you've been given the opportunity to bring in all your worlds, and here's where they cheated. They brought them all in at the very end. Like it's like, all right, here's all your characters.
Yeah.
Boom, movie's over. See you later.
That was the worst.
That was it. It was like,
Well,
wait,
it was
what
like
just
cheap, kind of.
Though, when they did that,
What's that?
they left out characters. Number one is a Flash movie, right? So why am I getting 17 Supermans at that convergence stage where all the worlds are going? Like, why am I not getting 17 Flashes? Like, let me give 17 Flashes his movie.
Right.
I get one other Batman, the Adam West Batman, right?
Yeah.
Get one other Flash, the older Flash. You get one
right,
Flash.
the TV show.
All like it's I mean, not Batman, Superman. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. It's the Flash.
Not only that, they showed them in old footage. It's not like they interacted with them. They're like, it was almost just like one of those Grammy shows, like through the years, like memorandum type of things. It's just like they weren't really in the damn movie.
It was like very tacked on.
Well,
Nicolas
Cage did he have to come in the studio and do that, or did they CGI his face?
That's where most of the budget went.
Yeah, don't blame him. Good job, Nick.
They had to get Ghost Rider in there. Yeah, listen. Like I said, I was not crazy about the movie. And Patty, like I remember, like you enjoyed the movie though. Like, what did let's try to keep it positive. All right, what did you enjoy about the movie? What were you like? Oh, this is a good movie.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I liked the main actor, Ezra. I don't have everyone's names. I didn't like the 17-year-old version of him as much. I'm not going to lie. So, like, when I was saying before that some of the scenes were dragging, I did feel like some of that needed to be on the editing room floor. But what did I like? I liked the plot with the father. Just that quest for justice of like, I don't know, for me, I was invested of like, man, that sucks. He had a hat on and he's been in jail for killing his wife that he loved, like the mother of his son. Like, that kind of got me emotionally invested. I liked the girlfriend that he attended journalism school with and how she was at the beginning of the movie trying to kind of use him just to get a quote about the father because it's this juicy trial. But then, you know, obviously that progressed later and kind of at the end of the movie, it seemed like maybe they were going to get together. Everything with the mom, I agree. It's kind of weird. Why wouldn't you go back to try to see who had it in for your mom?
Who killed your mom?
Right. Was it random?
Maybe he
Patty,
thought it
I'm
was
sorry.
going to create too much of like a fuck up in the universe. Maybe he thought by changing just a small thing, by not actually seeing who killed his mom and changing that it was just going to be a very minuscule change. But the fact is, it fucked everything up anyway. So maybe,
right, but I thought it was so crazy because it's like, how do you not want to know? Like, was it random because she was inside the house? Like, that's not random. She wasn't mugged.
If
like,
I could travel through time and someone murked my mom, trust me, I don't care about my other self. I don't care about Darnell 2.0. I'm finding out who the hell killed my mom. I'm going to literally like phase through them. I'm going to phase through them so much, just like A-Train on the damn whatchamacallit on the boys. Like, it's like, what would like if you were the Flash? Wouldn't that be your number one priority? Is to find out who killed your mom?
Oh, that would have been the only thing I was doing. Like, find out who did it and you prevent it. Like, if I'm going to do all that, find out who did it.
So crazy.
Yeah,
because was it someone she knew, someone who liked her? They knew where she lived. She wasn't mugged. She wasn't carjacked. They came inside the house and like they stabbed her. I mean, that's what happened. So I don't see how he doesn't want to go. Is this someone she went to college with, or someone that maybe liked the mom and was pissed that she got married and had a kid? So I'm sorry, I was supposed to be talking about what I liked. That was just one thing that was glaring to me, that I was like, oh man, sorry, but no, I liked the humor, the action. I wasn't crazy about Supergirl. Like, she wasn't good or bad to me. She was just kind of like, okay. Michael Keaton in the kitchen.
That's Cindy's girlfriend.
That's my girlfriend. I love her.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I didn't even know who she was before I went in, but like, yeah, I don't know. I laughed. I was invested in the drama. I thought the action was good. CGI sucked. I thought it was weird that he didn't want to find out who actually killed her. But I loved Kevin Sorbo at the end. I mean, I'm such a fanatic of Hercules that was kind of like, I'm a mark for him. So it didn't take much. But to your point, Darnell, like, why didn't we kind of see Arkham Asylum as maybe like politicians or like charity workers, or like, why not invert it?
Anyone else. It's like all we really got was Batman And I'm not talking the through the years at the end, all those. I'm talking in the film. We only got another Flash, who's the same actor, Batman, and Supergirl. That's it.
Yeah. That's it.
Nothing else. No Green Lantern, no Hawk. Like we didn't get anything else. Jorge, what did you say earlier about Supergirl?
What?
Did you say Supergirl was like emo or something like that?
Yeah, emo and with the runny makeup, like My Chemical Romance.
I liked her
She
emo.
was like a Fallout Boy fan.
I like My Chemical Romance.
I love My Chem though. I've seen him in concert a bunch of
It was
times.
a little different, but it's what you just said. Like,
I mean, she was just fucking being tortured. If she was about to like get killed, what the fuck do you guys expect her to be like? Dun, 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 dun. I mean,
No, but she was like a stereotype. She was like the kind of person that was like going.
She was
to
very
Fallout Boy
like,
concert.
I don't know humans. I don't give a fuck about this world so much. I'm here because I had a mission. It got fucked. And then later she realizes, hey, maybe these people, I mean, like I said, she got 15 minutes of screen time. So there isn't much, to do as far as like character
Cindy, she was dying half the movie. Like,
yes. Exactly.
Oh my gosh, she was.
15 minutes, and 10 of those 15 minutes were her CGI getting fucking killed, getting murdered.
Yeah,
she
got. We watched her get killed.
They just didn't do a good job with her character. So then it's like, I don't want to put it on the actress, right? It's like she literally had like 8 minutes to work with. I mean, she had less time than Michael Keaton. It's kind of like they didn't give her a lot to do.
But remember,
let's talk about power stealing.
Okay, yeah. Oh no, Michael Keaton in the movie, real quick. He said, like, yeah, Gotham's all cleaned up, like there's no crime and stuff. Like what y'all were saying, like we never even got a chance to see that. Like, what does Gotham look like?
Yep.
What does New York City look like with no crime?
Like,
and they didn't show it.
They didn't show us that, right?
No.
No, what Jake is making a good point. He said, like, we didn't get the Flashpoint, and if anyone's read the comic, that's the one where Wonder Woman chops off Mara's head. Like, Flashpoint is brutal with Bruce Wayne's father. That's what everyone was expecting. We didn't get that, and so I think that's why a lot of people are pissed off. And know what? To go back to the Supergirl thing. In the comics, there's some comics that say she's stronger than Superman. So Zod should not have murked her over and over again. Supergirl is actually very, very strong, and she's stronger than Zod. So they just kind of played her down, and obviously it was just to fit the narrative. But to me, that again was just bad writing.
It was.
I told y'all in the group chat, like I had a major problem with the Kryptonians being so powerful without being exposed to the sun. Like, that I had a real problem with that because it goes against what we already established in the universe, right? They got to get exposed to the sun, then they can be strong and have all the powers. Mm-hmm. So with Supergirl, that moves damn near by the speed of light, almost as fast, like not as fast as the Flash, but pretty damn close. There's no reason for Zod to catch her and catch the Flash and keep killing her 20 times in a row every time they go back to try to save her. That doesn't make sense. It's not part of that universe. He has to be exposed. So she should never died the first time. Like, it didn't make any sense.
But she wasn't exposed for that long either.
He was never exposed.
Well, neither was she though. She was exposed for like 5 hours?
But she had her powers. So once she had her powers, once she got the sun, she had her powers.
That's true.
The rest of the Kryptonians had nothing to mess with. Like they couldn't mess. But the way they told the story, they wanted us to forget the rules, and some of us remember the fucking rules.
Yeah, that's true. Right. It was weak. She was,
Ed,
they're not catering to comics anymore, guys. So
they're not.
Ed, do you think that people don't like this movie? Do you think now that we have The Boys, now that we've had some really big even like Invincible, we have some great superhero projects out there. Do you think that this movie just doesn't live up to those expectations? That's why people are like, nah. Like right now, the bar is raised. Like, do you agree with that, or like, what do you think?
Not necessarily
movie compared to what we've seen recently.
No, I see in a way that's sort of unfair just because of the different types of source material, and also the fact that I think, kind of going back to my point originally, when you have those different properties like Image Comics, or you have like a platform like at HBO Max or the Max or Amazon Prime, you're able to take more risks with these properties, and you already kind of inherently know that shows like Invincible and The Boys are going to cater to something a little more different. But with DC, you still have to be able to fit a general audience no matter what. And even then, at least to cater to those who understand the source material just enough to say, I like that moment, and get the casuals to get into it a lot more, because you want to bring casuals into your property. They just didn't do enough for either scenario. Like as a casual, as a DC casualist, as I would like to say, I didn't get invested enough to understand like more of the plot. But then again, there weren't enough references for me to go back on to say, okay, I see where they're going with that. If anything, it was just more references for me that were more pop culture nostalgia.
Yep.
Again, having Michael Keaton as Batman. Again, having like, okay, a Supergirl, cool. That's actually kind of interesting. And as my mind, I was just like, oh, they flipped how Superman and Supergirl were in terms of the story, like with Man of Steel. Of course, Superman touched down. But in this movie, because of the time travel, they reversed it. So I'm like, okay, that's an interesting plot point. But there wasn't enough to sink your teeth into once the 2.5 hours ended. It's like, okay, I got there, but is there anything more forward for me to go with? Not just necessarily the DCEU, because it's going to keep chugging along, but just the Flash as a character. With 3 episodes under my belt, barely 3 episodes in 2017, when myself and AJ were doing PartyNerdz streams, I got more invested in Grant Gustin's Flash universe in the CW verse than I ever did with anything happening in this movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because there wasn't a lot for me to get into. And I was like, okay, so you got the CW now, you got Iris, you got Reverse Flash. Okay, what else is next? Then I'm looking at, okay, Arrow is always an interesting character. Arrow has always been one of the fan favorites. Legends of Tomorrow, I didn't get into it a lot, but I saw the kind of like the feeling for it. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. What else is there in CW? This movie gave me nothing. In during the movie and afterwards. Like there were pieces of it that were good, but the aftermath of it, once the credits rolled, what next? And that's why I felt stuck.
And then you guys got George Clooney. I didn't even get that.
No way. And Andre just made a good point.
Yeah, but do you guys think now, like, George Clooney is our current Batman?
No.
Absolutely
not. That was
not.
just like a ha moment.
It's like you're supposed to just burst out
Unless
laughing.
They want the DC universe to implode, yes. Like it's in the bottom of the ocean looking at the Titanic.
To be honest, if they had left it in the version that I saw, because the version that I saw was like 2 weeks before the version that you guys saw, they didn't have. All they showed was his shoe coming out of the car, of the limo, and the Flash, Barry going, who the fuck is this? So it ended, and I feel like if it would have ended like that, it might have been a little bit more powerful, because then it would have been like, oh shit, who is it? Like who's this Bruce Wayne? What's going on? What's
right, to Ed's point, like you would have had going out of the theater, like who was that?
Something, at least a little something. But then the fact that they ended up showing who was it, that it was George Clooney out of all the Batman.
Look, they didn't have enough budget for him to shave his beard. So I was Batman, and this is for Jerv, because Jerv was supposed to be here, and he brought this up. So I'm shouting him out. Batman doesn't have a beard, so like they didn't even have enough budget to tell George Clooney, like, hey man, can you shave your beard? Like they probably didn't pay him enough. He's not shaving his beard for a cat.
Hell no, he's bigger than that.
You know what, guys, we're getting some good comments. We're getting some good comics. Cyrix actually makes a good point. It makes you wonder on how Blue Beetle and Aquaman and the Last Kingdom will fare, since they claim to be in the new universe, but it may or may not be the case. So the question is this the end of the DC we know currently, or is it going to, there's no really clear line as far as what's going to be James Gunn's universe and what the current thing is. So, I mean, that's a good point.
But didn't people think that this was going to save DC? Like it was going to be like the beginning of the saving grace of DC. And it was like,
the starting point, right?
Yeah, like a good starting point. Like, oh shit, this movie is going to give us hope to whatever James Gunn is going to bring or whatever. And it didn't do that. So I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up for Blue Beetle. I'm hoping it'll be good, but
I'm actually excited about that. Like I want it to be good. Like
yeah.
I want you guys to pay attention to one thing, and it was in the post-credit scene. So this is what you need to understand moving forward, right? When Barry was talking to the Arthur Curry, the Aquaman, you remember he said, yo, like, and then all these other timelines, you are the same. Because he was talking about how Batman was a different person in every universe, and this person was different, and he had a twin or whatever it was, right? But he definitely told Arthur Curry, like, but you're the same. And if you're around in one universe, you're the same person in every universe. So they're trying to tell you, like, when he's like Jason Momoa, like he's moving forward. Like we're gonna see him in this new DCU, right?
But he needs to be Lobo. He don't need to be Aquaman. Make him Lobo.
Yo, he would be perfect in Lobo. But he's still gonna continue as Aquaman. That's what they were trying to tell you. And then they tried to tell you, but Ben Affleck and obviously Henry Cavill's out. Wonder Woman may or may not be there. Gal Gadot. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, they're trying to tell you, like, yeah, we're gonna have some characters move over, but we're pretty much 85% of the roster we're getting rid of and bringing in new people. So just be mindful of that.
Haas, based on what you just said, wouldn't have been good if in this movie it was they made it very clear that this Barry Allen destroyed everything else we knew. I mean, obviously you see George Clooney, but that doesn't make sense because now you're in that version of the Bat universe. Like, I think they should have found a way to write it into the story that whatever he did, erase the slate for James Gunn to come in and his, like, if they would have had whoever the new Batman or whatever it is, it would have been a smooth transition. But now it's like is Blue Beetle, is that going to be old new? It's DC's just a hot mess. It's a dumpster fire.
But it's like you guys were saying, they never like. Oh, go ahead, Darnell.
No, go ahead, please.
Oh, no, I was just saying they don't seem to like go all in. One of you guys made that point before, like they don't fully commit. Marvel's like, this is the movie, you don't like it, fuck you, right? But we are going all the way in. Like one of the Thor movies had these goats that were like bleeding and laughing the whole time. I got a little sick of it, but they're unapologetic, right? With DC, they're always kind of afraid and like they can laugh at George Clooney, but does it mean that everything's been wiped away and come see the Blue Beetle and we'll make it up by then? And people don't tend to kind of respect that as much because you're not as committed to your vision.
They take risks on the wrong things. They don't take risks on the things that they should. So it's like it backfires every time.
What if they explain it in the beginning of Blue Beetle? Oh, everything's been vanished. It's a starting point.
That's the laziest. That would be the laziest way to do it because
in a galaxy far, far away.
Scrolling past the yellow.
Oh my god!
That's how they're gonna explain.
But also to go back on the original point. Hold on, Darnell. But Patty's right about one thing that there aren't, and both Patty and Cindy are right. They take risk on the wrong things and they don't take risk on other things. And at this point, as she mentioned, Marvel has a clear, consistent pattern. Marvel has, here are the movies, here's what we're gonna do, here are the TV shows, here's what they're gonna do, and then here's the other extended properties. But here's the overarching universe that connects them together. With DC, we don't have any of that. We have the DCEU ? We have the DC animated movies that are there. We have the Batverse because the Batman is its own universe. The Joker and the follow-up movie are in their own universes too. And yeah, to an extent, Marvel kind of has that where like some of the Sony movies like the Venom and the Villain Origins movies are kind of their own universe, but kind of not really. But that's a whole different story. That's a exception to the rule, not the rule itself. But with DC, that is the rule.
Way Home actually helped. No Way Home helped rectify that.
Right, exactly. So with that, which is great, but at the same time,
No Way Home actually was Sony.
Yeah, but No Way Home definitely helps that because and then you have Across the Spider-Verse, you kind of have those little Easter eggs, so it kind of still made it make sense in its own world, so it still feels connected. But nothing in DC feels connected. It feels like I'm tracking 6 different universes all at the same time, and even with a Flash movie and Flashpoint, the Flashpoint, we were supposed to expect a big crossover event or at least a way to bring multiverses together, so to speak. Even if you do a half-ass job of it, DC, which I know you're known for, at the very least, you can bring certain pieces of it together to at least tie up those little loose ends, and you didn't do any of that. So by the time I'm left this movie, you now have 10 different properties. I have no idea what's supposed to relate to what, or are they just individual one-shots? Like, are they like going back to comic book terminology? Is the DC universe outside of maybe their animated movies just one-shots? And that's a bad way to go about business, especially if you're trying to be big in the box office and at least take a chunk out of Marvel's share.
There's no cliffhangers. You're right. It's just like you have nothing to look forward to. Absolutely. Haas, let me ask you a question. Do you think Ezra Miller's antics was a big reason that people didn't see this movie? Like, do you think if he was like just like not acting up, it would have like better numbers, or do you think that people just don't like the movie?
No, just people just are disappointed in the movie, and it's the people that know. If you have a good sense of what the backstory or what the content is, then you're going to be disappointed because your expectations are high. I really do love Patty's vision on the movie because there's no bias involved. Like, she really didn't know the source material, right? So she went in just looking to see if it's a good movie or not, see if she enjoyed herself. That's why I'm saying, like, I do like the movie. It's just I'm disappointed. So I have this conflict where she doesn't have that conflict. She can just take it for what it is. Yeah, the movie has flaws, but I had a good time and I like it. I really liked it. That's how she feels. So she represents what just a moviegoer just trying to have a good time can see the movie. Where a bunch of us that know the source material, we're sitting there and saying this is wrong and that's wrong and this wrong because our expectations are high. Like we put these properties between DC and Marvel and other properties, we hold them to a standard now. This is not 20 years ago where it was like we're just lucky to have one. We're just lucky to have a superhero movie. Yeah. Now, because of the success of some of the older Batman films and the MCU and some of the X-Men films and some of the Spider-Man films, like, we are expecting top-notch entertainment, right? And respect to the source material. It doesn't have to be the same. I like originality, but there has to be a respect factor that comes with that. So that's where everybody's like, yo, I don't like this movie, or something's wrong, or I'm disappointed. Like, that's where it comes from. It comes from the hardcore fan base. That's the difference.
Well, Keaton, I know he brought out a lot of heads out there, especially the old heads. I wanted to see him again.
I went because of Keaton.
I went because of Keaton too.
Me too.
Yeah.
That was the main reason I went, was because of Keaton.
Yeah, Keaton was awesome, and Affleck was awesome when he was there too. So they were awesome. The Batman's, listen, no problems with the Batman.
He was great.
We got to see our original.
I agree.
89 Batman and Michael Keaton. We got to see Ben Affleck in the first time we ever got to see on outside of the Adam West Batman movie. It's the first time we got to see a blue and gray concept, the classic blue and gray the suit, right? So we got to see something we never got to see before, and he performed well in it. So it was like the Batman stuff was great.
Yeah,
it's just the story that it just lacked a lot of what we could have used to really enjoy it as a whole. Like, I would have loved for this movie to be universally talked about, like, oh, we just all seen the Flash and this happened, and I don't know how the DC's moving forward, like,
right.
But I feel good about it. I don't think anybody feels good about where DC is going.
No. Why are their animated movies so
good? Like, Facts is
so good. They're so
writers.
And the live movies are so bad. I just find that
James just left a comment.
To be honest, DC's
IP through DC's IP.
Yeah, no, I agree with him.
Everyone's to read it.
I know, right? Story time from the party.
Well, now I know
here.
DC animated. Now it's more pressure on DC because now they have to create into the Batverse, just like Spider-Verse. So their
animated stuff is the bomb. I just don't know why they can't get the live action together. It's really weird.
Separate them from Marvel. Like, they don't. It's weird because they want the Marvel success, but they're trying to be so different where, dog, we don't give a fuck. Like, I'm trying to tell you, we do not care if you take Marvel's strategy and copy it 100%. We will not care. We just want a good film. Like, just something enjoyable that we can
coherent film.
That's all we want. We want the most free-flowing but tight universe that you can come up with, so we can follow these stories, so we can keep coming back. Like, it's too often that we keep talking about the DC movies and it's lacking in this, it's lacking in that. Why isn't this actor in the movie? Like, why can't we show Superman's face? Why is Black Adam not fighting Shazam? Like, stupid shit that should just be automatic. Where's the Reverse Flash? Shit like that, right?
Then you should let Marvel do the movies then.
Because they're all one-offs. Because Ed, you hit it earlier, the nail on the head. These movies are all one-offs. Whereas when you see remember when the early Marvel Iron Man and they saw the Captain America's shield in snow, or you saw Thor's hammer, you knew what was coming. Like everything was a thread. And just like in comics, whenever we were young reading comics, we would look forward to the next issue because we wanted to know what happened. These DC movies are all one-offs. They don't think ahead, you know, and that's a problem. Because if you don't like this, what they're like, oh, let's throw George Clooney at the end of the movie. Now, do you plan on using George Clooney in the future? If not, that's just dumb. You know, real talk. It's just stupid because
like they did that for laughs.
They did it for laughs.
They did. We said that. They just wanted you to burst out laughing. Like, remember how fucking bad Batman and Robin was?
But they can't.
Like, see, that's what I'm saying. In my version, not having him shown left us kind of like, oh shit. Oh shit! Wait, things just got interesting.
That's the version everybody should have got. But
that should have been
100%, yeah.
That should have been the version that you guys got too.
So DC can't be pissed at us when we take them for a joke. That is what it is. They can't be mad at the fan base for taking them as a joke, right?
Even when they get it right, they get it wrong.
Yeah.
Because they changed it and they had a good ending. It's like they don't know how to kind of build intrigue and suspense. Like
they brought back. They did in a beard.
Not to say anything because I loved Batman and Robin. I'm sorry, I like the cheesy, corny '90s one-liners.
I love Val Kilmer's Batman.
I hated Val Kilmer's Batman. I loved that movie. Val Kilmer's Batman would breathe into that screen like he was dying, like he was Darth Vader. I hated Val Kilmer's Batman. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I liked Batman Forever. I liked it.
No,
but I know that one I like die on a hill alone on. So
Jim Carrey gave a hell performance.
He
did.
He
did.
Yes,
he did.
And Nicole Kidman gave a good performance.
Yeah, she did. She did too. I just didn't like Val Kilmer in that role for whatever reason. Maybe it's because I was like bitter that it was not.
Oh, you like Val?
Yeah, that's cool. But my problem wasn't with any of that. Jim Carrey was fine. It was just Tommy Lee Jones trying to be Jim Carrey. That was competition with Jim Carrey. Like he was just doing.
Well, there's no way. It was supposed to be Billy D. Williams. Technically, he was supposed to be Two-Face because it should have been him, but they changed it all. So let's just wrap this up. I mean, he was the original Harvey Dent in the first Batman movie. And
in '89, he was Harvey Dent.
That was him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Billy D. Williams' character in the original. He was Dent.
And they switched.
Damn, I'm sorry. I was 8, so I knew it was like someone cool. I didn't remember it was Billy D. Williams. Colt 45 in the house. Okay.
It was Billy D. It was Billy. It was dope.
Colt 45. Oh yeah.
The Colt 45.
So you know what? Before we go,
legendary. It's Colt 45 commercials. Legendary.
100%.
Jake earlier made a really good. I didn't want to forget about this comment. He said that the one thing with this movie that really hurt was the lack of a villain. And I wanted to address the fact that they decided to take the Savitar. Did you guys ever watch the CWDC where they had Savitar, which was actually Barry Allen? They went with that storyline. So in other words, the villain was himself. I don't think that was good.
Which is lazy. It's so lazy to do it that way.
Lazy.
Like it's so lazy because it's like, okay, now you have like Barry fighting himself, Barry teaming up with himself. No, where's somebody else? There's a big, expansive, like.
Thank you.
CW, the CW did it so much better. It was right there. You have Reverse Flash. You have all these other characters in the Flash universe. You could have had, I don't even know. You could have had Frost. She could have done something. Like she exists in the like. There's so many different ways you could have gone with it, but to have Savitar be the villain and not reveal it until the end on top of that, and it's like. No, like that just gets so lazy because it's like, okay, it's constantly Barry fighting with and against himself. So it's like it becomes the movie not necessarily about Flashpoint, but it's about more like Barry's psyche and subconscious. And that's not the best way to use the Flash. That's not what this whole entire paradox is supposed to be about.
It needed to be Reverse Flash, and it needed to be known that he killed his mom. So like that's what was supposed to happen. They didn't do that for whatever reason. They thought this route was better, and this is what we get. We get a lot of conflict with people trying to decide if they like the movie or not because they wanted to shock us with, oh, we'll give them everything's about Barry. We'll give them a younger Barry, an older Barry, and then a Barry down the timeline that kept going back and trying to save Supergirl. Like they just did too much where they didn't have to. The layout was right there for them. Like all they had to do was go into these Flashpoint stories, take the best things out of them, put it into an original story, and just give it to us.
Right.
That's all. That's all they had to do. Give us some cameos of some current superhero actors. Right. There's no reason if Henry Cavill's done, that's cool. But he should have been in the movie. And they shot scenes with him in this movie. They just left it on the cutting room floor. They left it on the cutting room.
I gotta be honest. I'm getting tired of Wonder Woman's cameos. Like in Shazam, this is like, oh, Wonder Woman's gonna show up again. Don't get it wrong. Like I don't mind Gal Gadot, but it's like they're like, here's Wonder Woman again. It's like, no shit. You always give us Wonder Woman, and she's always. She always comes in for a second and always is like kind of condescending, like you boys, you don't know what you're doing. And like,
right.
Okay.
And then we need to get and then one lasso of truth joke just to exist and just like I'm just gonna fly away now and just throw my lasso in the air and just go like this. That's it.
That's it in Shazam too.
That's a smooth $10 million right there.
They're literally no.
I want that life.
But this is fucked up shit about DC, yo. They put her in the movie, right? They put her in Shazam 2 and they put her in The Flash only to show how the other heroes are Google-eyed over her, right?
Yeah.
Now Batman's all like, well, hey, it's good to see you again. And
Right.
or Shazam. Oh, did you get my letter? Did you read my letter? I'm grown now. I'm 18 and da 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 da. Like, like why does like we get it? Like Gal Gadot is gorgeous, but I don't need every time she pops up on the screen, everybody's trying to get with her, yo. Like,
That's true.
It's
objectification right there for no reason. You had two movies where you didn't have to do any of that, and you still do it
because they're not. Listen, they put Jason Momoa on there. I know a lot of females like Jason Momoa, right? I know that for a fact. They put him in his cameo. I don't see everybody's like, oh my God, it's Aquaman. Nah, they have them interacting with Barry, being friends. Like, why couldn't they just interact with Gal Gadot being their friend? Like, they're all Justice League colleagues, right?
Especially Batman, because that's like someone that it shouldn't be that way, right? Like the Flash, maybe, but like with Batman, I thought it was awkward.
It was.
That's what I'm saying. Like they just put her on there for show. Like, have her if she's going to be on there, let her be her, and we don't need have her 30-second cameo being everybody trying to get with her.
It's the joke. And let the fucking running joke now.
Let the cameos have meaning. Like Aquaman being drunk outside of a bar is like, think, all right, so this is going to be a spoil for people that didn't see Transformers, but y'all remember that surprise at the end when they handed the card? Like, that was like,
I like popped so hard.
The whole entire theater got up.
Screamed. Like,
no one lost it when they saw Aquaman. They're like, oh, okay, it's Aquaman. But that's writing. James hit it in the comments too. Like the writing in this movie was just so lazy. It was so like, all right, let's throw Wonder Woman in here. Let's throw this there. And they didn't really try. That's why, look, guys, breaking it down on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll start off. I'm going to be hated, but whatever. People can kick rocks. I give it a 5.
I knew you were going to say that. Which is technically it's in the middle, so it's average, right?
I'd say 6.
Average.
It's close to not good, but average.
Hard
average.
7 for me.
It's a 6. It was entertaining. It had fun moments. It just didn't, as a whole, it failed.
Yeah.
Keaton scenes were the ones that kind of revived the movie for me.
Yeah.
So. They did.
Yeah.
They did.
1,000%.
But it was just the nostalgia of him. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said it before and I'll say it again. The movie to me is a 7. It's a 7. I'm just very fucking disappointed with it. That's all.
I more lean on the 7 route too. Like I think the nostalgia of certain characters is great. The CGI and the plot just didn't really do a lot for me. There was some decent action, don't get me wrong. Like some of the battles with the Kryptonians was fine. I do like that Keaton did give an interesting explanation of how the paradox works with traveling back in time, where instead of like you just going back in time to change something to change the future, you're actually doing like a shift. Like I think for me, I thought that was the most interesting part is the explanation of how the Flash's time travel works. For me, that was actually like, oh, finally a plot point that actually is explained well. So that's why I'm not going to completely crap on everything with the plot, because at least there was a little bit of explanation, but because it came from Keaton, it made it a lot better. Granted, But I think a 6 is like 6.5 is probably where the highest I can go, because again, certain things were good, certain things were just and the outweighed a lot of those good moments, like the Keaton, some of the cameos, and the explanation of some of the plot points with time travel. But those things just weren't enough to kind of bring that movie anywhere higher.
Yeah.
I give it a 7. For me, 7 is like a C, 80s like a B. I go back to my Catholic schooling. 90s like A minus, 10 is like, bitch, it's amazing, flawless, right? So like I said, I was entertained, I laughed, I liked the action, the drama. CGI sucked. There were some glaring omissions. Who actually harmed the mother, right? How do you not try to find that out, then maybe stop that from happening? I thought they could have gone further with things, and they didn't. But I did like it. So at the end of the day, when I walked out, I was like, I had a good time. So I'd give it a 7 based off of that.
Yeah.
Would you see it again?
I would if someone else like streamed it or rented it. Like I wouldn't go out of my way. Like Transformers, I'd go out of my way to see again. So to me, that's a difference. Yeah.
I wouldn't pay for it. So, I wouldn't pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the way it's tracking in the theater, you might get.
Jorge, what would you give it?
Like I said, I'm gonna give it a hard 7. You know, so Keaton saved the movie for
Keaton
me.
did save the movie,
and I will never see it again. I'll go on YouTube and do the Michael Keaton highlights of the movie.
So what Jorge just told me is that this was actually a Batman movie.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
For me, it was.
Well, do you guys think this was better than Suicide Squad, the one a couple of years ago? I don't think so. I think that was better.
The first one?
No,
and the first Suicide Squad?
The one with
Idris Elba.
The one with Peacemaker.
No.
Peacemaker.
No. That one was way better. I had a lot of fun watching
I like the newer Suicide Squad. I did like that movie a lot.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. You know, not Enchantress like doing all the dancing and all that. That was trash.
No, that movie was no. But the new Suicide Squad, that was actually fun.
That was good. Yeah, it was a fun movie. So I'd say that one was better. I'd say that The Flash was better than Wonder Woman 1984.
Absolutely.
The Flash was 1,000 times better than that fucking piece of shit movie.
Yeah, that was bad. Better
than
Shazam
the first
2.
What?
Shazam 2 was pretty bad.
I like Shazam too, but I also like Zachary Levi, so I'm being biased. I'm very biased.
I think it was better. I think Shazam 2 was better than this though. Like if I'm really thinking about it, and I didn't really like it. I look again.
It's better than this.
Thank you.
No, it is. It's better, and I can name I remember I'm talking about standards, right? I got enough DC movies in this DCEU where I can lower the standards of their films.
That's what it is.
I can literally lower the standards of the right.
Wow, so that's sad, but true.
It is unfortunate, but this is the reality that we're in my timeline anyway. So I can put a whole bunch of films over it, because I rate these movies on a lower scale. So when I'm saying it's a 7, I don't think it may not be a 7 in the MCU. It's a 7 as a general movie, but if I'm ranking it in the MCU, it's probably one of the worst films in the MCU. It'll probably be around where Thor: The Dark World is, and Incredible Hulk and stuff like that, right?
And Iron Man 3.
Oh yeah.
You just hit a nerve, Ed. That's not right.
I was hoping to.
It's like the famous saying, guys. If you want to enjoy a DC movie, you have to lower your standards completely.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's not what DC is supposed to be. That's not what Warner Brothers is supposed to be. You can't grade DC. Like, it sucks that we have to grade DC on a curve. Like, going back to the school analogy, you can't grade these movies on a curve. Like, well, I mean, in a general movie, it's a 7, but compared to every other comic book movie, it's like a 2. It shouldn't be that way. That's unfair for actual.
So strong.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And that's unfair for actual genuine criticism.
They have such great source material. It makes me sad that they can't figure it out. Like,
if it was shit source material and then you get these movies, you're like, oh, well, they don't have much to work with, but they have so much to fucking work with, and
Well, Doc Rizzo nailed it. Just watch a DC animated.
Right.
They need to release these animated movies through the theater.
They do. I would go.
I would love that. I would love that. Look how popular Spider-Verse has been. Just
Because
do
Yeah.
that.
not enough people are watching the animated films because naturally they're animated, so the casual, I guess, movie watchers, not
Moviegoer.
kids
Sure.
or whatever, even though they're very, very adult.
Oh
But
yeah,
they
they're-
don't promote it. I didn't hear the last 3 that came out.
Yeah. So if they would release those films in theaters, we might be talking about something else because we already saw the success with the last 2 Spider-Verse films, right? So if DC has already been making these great animated films,
yeah.
it's just unfortunate that we're not getting them in the theater. The big time animated DC film we got was Mask of the Phantasm, and that was like in
That was-
'93.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Oh,
That was great.
Yeah,
Which was
it's
great.
Yeah.
Which was great. So they have the capability. It might have been 30 years ago, but they have the capability to release a theater movie with animation. They have them. They can release them now. Like they don't
They
even have
need
to
to
go
be
back.
like better with
They
their
can start
promotion.
releasing them. Like
They
just
need
start-
cojones, right?
Just
Yeah.
you already have them. Just release them. Just do it. I'm telling
Well,
you, you have to go a better route.
guys,
Because we're losing respect.
I think everybody in this podcast think that the movie was either average or below average. Ultimately, all we're saying is, am I back? Okay.
Yeah.
All we're saying
Yeah.
is, DC, get your shit together. Come on.
Yeah, 100%.
Get your shit together. I grew up loving Green Lantern. I love Batman. Growing up, DC characters to me were more dear to my heart than Marvel characters. And all we want is a good, coherent, not just one movie. We want a good, coherent universe. And it can be done. It's the writing. But I really think that too many cooks in the kitchen can that's a Cindy metaphor. Too many cooks. Remember that weird thing? That was crazy.
Oh my God.
It takes a lot to make a true. But no, I think DC just needs to get it together. Hopefully, James Gunn is the answer. Hopefully, he sees what's going on.
Like that, Bill? He's coming. No, Darnell, he's throwing shots at you, brother.
Hey, Doc, save your beard.
He's throwing shots at that dollar.
Hey, listen, this is a Commodore 64 right here, you know? I'm old school. All right, guys. Great having you guys on the show again. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff coming up before the strike. Once the strike is on, we're just going to be talking about anything. Be like, so what's your favorite sneakers? Because there ain't nothing new.
Oh God, yeah.
But guys,
Oh, boy.
Party Nerds in the house. We will see you guys next week. Peace out.
Peace.